And someone has just sent me a story on skynews.com.au that Monash University in Melbourne is going to stop students from graduating even. Can't use any resources, can't sit exams, can't graduate unless you do a course that Monash University has carefully put together on the Aboriginal voices. Can you believe that? Brainwashing, using taxpayer money in what you think should be a forum for opening people's minds, not closing them. You'd assume the federal opposition under Peter Dutton got a nasty wake-up this morning with the latest Newspoll in the Australian. For a start, big jump in support for Labor after preferences, which is important. So the Albanese government now heads Dutton's coalition by 56% to 44%. And Prime Minister Albanese leads Dutton's preferred Prime Minister by more than 2-1. That said, it is the honeymoon period for the Albanese government. Plus, it seems to me the Liberals have not yet begun to fight, if they still know how. But two other things to bear in mind. One, Labor's primary vote is still low, just 37%. They're not carried away with Albanese. And past Prime Ministers have done well early as well, yet still crashed very fast. Kevin Rudd in 2008 was miles ahead as preferred PM over the Liberals' Brendan Nelson, 73% to just 7%. But 2 years later, Rudd had been sacked by his colleagues and Labor forced into minority government. And in 2013, the Liberals' Abbott government, well, that was also ahead by 56% to Labor's 44%. Same margin as Albanese today, but 2 years later, Abbott was sacked as well. Joining me is the political panel, Michael Kroger, former Liberal Victorian President, and Steve Conroy, former Labor Senator and Cabinet Minister. Steve, what do these figures tell you?
Look, I'm sure they're a nice read for my former colleagues in Canberra, but they should not take them seriously. Newspoll got it wrong, just like most of the polls got it wrong during the election campaign. They overinflated Labor's vote right up to near the end. And all Newspoll's really done is move us back to about where we were before the actual election result hit. So I don't think, you know, if I was Albo and the team, I'd go, yeah, that's good fun, but I'd just not take it seriously. And this ongoing debate around 2PP. The 2PP figure is only useful to you if it tells you which seats are going to be won and lost by the government and oppositions of the day and other parties. And the 2PP figures, in the way they're calculated now, have a fundamental flaw, which don't give you an indication of which seats are going to change hands. And if the measure, 2PP, can't tell you what seats are changing hands, it's useless. So people should not...
Still, I'd rather be 56% than 44, I'll tell you that much. Michael Kroger, what do these figures tell you?
And with that, Tony Much, we're 2 months into a 3-year term. We're at the very early stages of the government. Albanese has clearly decided he wants to do a Hawke rather than a Whitlam. Proceed slowly, cautiously, don't make enemies. And that's what he's trying to do, try and be all things to all people, talking about the voice, talking about global warming, Integrity Commission, no doubt down the track. Seemingly popular issues, but of course what will happen is the economic reality stick will hit Albanese and the Labor government very hard in the next 12 months, and people will forget all about these other issues.
Talk about exactly that.
And concentrate on,
well, let me talk about exactly that.
On what's
Actually, I want to take
economy.
issue with you. Speed-wise, here's a Hawke. Policy-wise, is a Whitlam. It is all social, big, grand plans, and I don't think looking at exactly how they're going to work. What could really hurt the Labor Party or the Labor government, Steve, is cost of living. The energy market operator now warns that a shortage of coal-fired power helped cause our average spot prices for electricity to soar in the June quarter, to soar to double the previous record. Never seen anything so high. And Labor's Energy Minister, meanwhile, says we're now so short of gas, she's preparing to order our gas companies to stop exporting some of it next year and keep it for us. Here she is.
This is their opportunity to demonstrate that there won't be a domestic shortfall next year. I will also consult other governments and relevant stakeholders. We will also have talks with our very important and key trading partners. Australia takes its reputation as a reliable, trusted and stable trading partner extremely seriously. We will reassure our trading partners that, like many countries around the world, we are managing our domestic gas security. The measures I have announced today will ensure we can keep the lights on.
Now, to explain some of what you just said at the end more closely, companies like Shell are warning that you break supply contracts with investors and power companies overseas, you're really going to hurt Australia when it comes to attracting new investments, because they're not going to trust us to honour contracts. But how did we get into this terrible mess?
Well, if you look at what Western Australia have done, they've had a reservation. They're one of our biggest gas exporting states, and they've had a reservation, and it didn't in any way stop people investing and wanting to invest more into the Western Australian economy. So I think Madeleine King's doing and saying exactly the right things. We need to send the message that Australians expect that they're going to be the beneficiaries of their gas. I mean, let's not forget, this is Australians' gas, which companies are, mining and sending overseas. But Australians need to see that there's going to be a guarantee that we are going to be able to give our own market the power to make sure the lights stay on. So
that makes
more power
absolute
to
sense, Stephen. That makes absolute sense. But Michael Kroger, you can easily say it's our gas. Well, you go and find it. You go and look for it. You go and get the capital to drill for it. You do all that. People didn't. We relied on overseas investors to do it and to sign also advanced contracts to get the gas. So what do you think is the reason we got into this mess?
Well, one of the reasons is crazy policies like here in Victoria under this nutty Daniel Andrews, where they banned any gas production. Now we have to import gas from Queensland when we've got a huge gas resource down in the Gippsland Basin. No, the bottom line is Stephen's right.
Incredible.
There should be an immediate reservation policy for Australia. I'd also consider caps on pricing. These energy companies are making a poultice, as people call it, wartime pricing. They're shoveling as much of our natural resources out the door, particularly to China, as they can, as quickly as they can, as much as they can, and leaving prices high here. This is a problem when you have governments in confusion, ours, Labor's, etc. Yep. We rely on coal and gas. We need them domestically and internationally for our biggest export markets, which pay for the hospitals and the schools and everything else. But at the same time, we have this crazy headlong, war, marathon race to get onto renewals.
If Australian politicians had opened the gas fields and Australian banks had invested in them, maybe we wouldn't be in this.
Shame on the banks.
Michael Kroger,
shame on the banks for playing
Steve
politics,
Conroy,
Andrew.
thank you both for your time.